Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. We're doing something that you guys have been asking for a long time and I've been meaning to do forever. I'm installing the Seicane head unit that was in my 2015 WRX in my 2016 WRX, where the backup camera is actually going to be on the unit. But I know a lot of you guys were asking about questions about, does this fit the 2016 Plus and newer years? It's actually designed to fit the 2016 and newer years, not the 2015. I had to retrofit. The vents didn't fit right. So we're gonna get this unit on the car. I'm gonna take you through the entire process. If you haven't seen the other video, I'll link it up above because that also shows you. So I might skip a few things, but we're really gonna talk about it again, getting it installed, because yeah, I think a lot of you guys have asked for another video. So I'd like to focus in on the things that I learned in the first video. Before we get too far into the video, if you want to follow the build of my car, which is a 2016 Subaru WRX, I'm pro-tuned through Brand Tuning, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm posting a lot of fun content. I got a lot of installs, stuff like this, but mostly exterior stuff and engine stuff. Maybe a carbon fiber wheel or something. It's gonna be a fun process. I've got a lot of stuff planned, especially during quarantine, because that's when I'm filming this video. There's a lot of stuff to do. So let's get started into the video. One of the things that I didn't mention in my last video is kind of all the tools that were needed to do this install. Phillips head, flathead, these are just like shop tools, they're nothing fancy. And then pry tool kit, you don't need something this big. This is my full pry tool kit for everything that I do with the car. I will link this below. I picked this up on Amazon. It's fairly cheap. It's a good buy. And I've had a few sets and I think this is my favorite. So there's definitely, you kind of pay what you get for, but there's a little bit of trial and error. Some sets are better than others. This one seems to be holding up. Tools aren't bending or breaking. So definitely recommend this. I'll drop this in the description box below, but let's get this head unit out, the stock head unit, because it looks like trash, and let's go for it. Okay, so this is the stock head unit for the 2016 Plus WRX. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start from the top here, and I'm gonna use the pry tool to go underneath the top, pop up the top a little bit. I'm gonna come around to the side a little bit here. I'm gonna start popping that, and then I'm gonna come around to the side here and start popping that. And then it's gonna slowly break free, and we will check in a second, and I'll show you what it looks like. Slowly gonna pop here, and I'm just being gentle here. I'm not applying too much force, kind of getting it at all sides. All right, so I just pulled mine out, and so I put a, I don't think I have it on me, but I have a Jeep, like a phone mount that goes into this HVAC vent, and I believe I've been pushing it in too much, and that's why it's unclipped, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Hopefully I didn't break any clips. Doesn't look like I broke any clips here. So now I have it loose. I can take it out. I've got two plugs here and here, so I'm gonna go ahead and unplug these plugs. You can use a flathead to do it, but you should be able to do it by hand, and usually both of your HVAC units are going to be attached here. All right, so I unplugged the two plugs, and we've got white and gray. Gray is going to be our bottom, or our control plug, and white is going to be our hazard plug. Once I unplug these, I'm just gonna tuck them away. I don't need to touch them right now. Again, guys, you're usually gonna bring it out with both vents out. The vents are a pain in the butt to take off. I was kind of fortunate enough that it's stuck on. I need to figure out why it's stuck on, but they're gonna come out both together. So once you have this piece out, you're gonna wanna take your vents out and your buttons out. But what we're gonna do here is there are 4 clips around the vent, and we're just gonna take a flathead and we're going to pry the clips up a little bit, loosen them up, and we're going to finagle this vent out. And there we go, guys. I took it out. It took a little bit of time, but we have a clip there, and then 2 clips on the top here. There's a piece of turf. Play too much soccer. 2 clips here. Make sure you're not breaking these clips. Make sure they are. Make sure you're being very careful. And then you should take both of these out. I only had to take one of them out. And then once you get those out, You can take your buttons out. Your buttons are pretty easy. You can start with the top button, which is the hazard. You just have two pins that squeeze on the side, and you're gonna push out. pushes out, and you have your top button, and store it somewhere. And then on the bottom one, you have 4 pins, but you can kind of work them in with your hands. So once you get the pins in, they're pretty easy to get out. Bottom button's out. And then we have our blank bezel, which we're going to keep when we want to install the stock head unit back in. We'll want to keep this, but this is going to get replaced with the new Seicane unit. We have the other vent out. We're going to take those out of the way. And then we have 2 10mm bolts. Got my 10mm ratchet. Make sure we're in a loosening position. And these are probably going to be pretty tough to get out. A little bit of tough to break the nut there. You want to be a little careful. Don't use a torque wrench here or anything. You don't want to break that flimsy bent metal. We also don't want to drop these. So once they're loose, we're gonna use our hands to untighten them. I'm just being very careful here. I don't know what the depth of these screws are. I'm gonna check to see if there's a bolt behind it. I don't believe there is. We're gonna just carefully unscrew these. I've got big hands, one out, and we're gonna keep these. We wanna make sure we do not lose these. Number 2 out. So I'm gonna put these somewhere where I'm not gonna lose them. And now I have my top 2 pieces off. Well, unscrewed. Okay, so the next step to get the head unit out, I'm using my little trim tool as a pointer here, is there's gonna be a bolt like around there and on the same side on the other side. So we're gonna start by dropping the glove compartment box. We're gonna open it up. And over here, I've already done this, but you're gonna push this off to the side. And so we're loose. You can also undo it from here. I undid it from up here. I don't know, you can choose which one you want to do. And then we're going to take each side, we're going to squeeze each side in, and then the glove compartment will drop out. When you drop your glove compartment, because you're doing this install, I highly recommend picking up a new cabin air filter. It's a great time to change it. I picked one up. If you need to hook up on one of these, just shoot me a message. I can get them pretty cheap, OEM. So this is a Subaru OEM cabin air filter. To take the existing one out, we're just gonna grab either side. There's 2 sets of clips. We're gonna loosen them up and it will come out. Change your cabin air filter. This has about, I don't know, like less than 10,000 miles, 10,000 miles on it in New England. It's pretty nasty. You guys can see it's pretty dirty. Yeah, that's what's coming out of the cabin air filter. So this is why you want to change them. So to install the new one, we're just taking the new one and we're going to just push it in until it clicks. So I've already made a video on how to do this, but none of you guys watched it. All right, so we're looking at the space without the glove compartment. We're gonna zoom into there and you will see the 10mm bolt. So let's take a look at it. So I hope you guys can see that right above that yellow cord up to the left there. That's the airbag cord, but right above that yellow cord, there's a 10mm bolt and we're gonna take that off. All right, so the next step is we need to get the same bolt on the other side, which is all the way over there by where your right knee is gonna go. So to do that, we need to take this panel off, then we need to drop this piece, then we need to drop this, but not unplug this because there's an airbag in here. And then once we take this stuff off and drop this, then we'll have access to that last bolt. So this is the piece from that corner. We took the screw off on the corner here, and that exposed the other 10mm bolt up on the other side. So we're gonna take that off real quick. Once we take that off, we can drop this down. We don't wanna unplug it, so we're just gonna drop it down on the ground like this. This is an airbag, be very careful with this. And then that will expose our last bolt that's underneath here. All right, so you're gonna grab it like this. I've already done it, but you're gonna grab it like this, and you're gonna pull, and with a little bit of force, not too much, but a good amount of force, it's gonna pop out, and then it's popped out a little bit, right? It's popped out from the bottom as well. So we're gonna pull it out as much as we can here until we can see the wiring up top. And you're gonna, at this point, you're gonna unplug all the wiring. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so once we unplug it, this is where it gets frustrating. We have to get our HVAC unit out, our control unit, and there are 4 Phillips heads around that are there to get it out. But we have these hinges over these 2 Phillips, and I don't have a small little screw. So this is where we have our Seicane head unit. We're gonna install the old HVAC back into it. Make sure it's the right side up here. We're gonna use the same screws as we used before. And from my recollection, it was actually pretty hard to get these screws in. It's almost like you're cross-threading. It looks pretty good, and now we're gonna start lining this thing up from the bottom down and start plugging our stuff in, and then we're gonna test it out. All right, so this is a little different actually than the 2015. So it took a little trial and error here, but I'm just gonna do that trial and error for you guys. It's a bit of a mess too. So you're gonna use the supplied harness that they give you. It's gonna plug into here, and then you're gonna have 2 pins that are empty, and the rest are gonna plug in. You're not gonna reattach the blue, and then you're not gonna reattach the ground, which is this one. Everything else gets attached through their harness, and then for backup camera, this powers the backup camera, but to actually give the feed, you need to use this harness, which is just craziness, and it took a lot of trial and error. But everything's labeled. They'll all be labeled, so it's easy to figure out. I'm not gonna go through everything except the 2 yellow cords, which is our cam VIN and cam VIN. These 2 cam VINs are gonna go into video out and video in. So those are the 2 that had a little bit of trial and error. The rest go there. I've got the factory mounted GPS like on the last one, my 2 USBs. I come over here. I've hooked up my auxiliary cord and my radio and all that good stuff. Everything else is here. Nothing special. A lot more cords when you're working with the 2016 Plus. I apologize for the lighting too. It's a bit dark. Got a little bit late on us. I'm gonna button up what's underneath the driver's side, put that airbag back because that is no longer needed. This thing is gonna sit in here with gravity and just buckle in around the housing. All right guys, we're back for a second day here, and I apologize. I wanted to get it all done one day and it just didn't happen. So we have the unit like roughly in place. I've kind of pinned in the bottom, but it's really just kind of sitting in here. And the last things to do here are to attach our hazards and our selector in there. And before we do that, we're gonna test fit and get in our vents. So you're gonna wanna pull this unit just out a little bit. I actually like to do it in this position so you can get these into the actual ducts behind the car, but there are gonna be 2 tabs up top that are gonna fit into slits here. You can see them right there, and you can see them right here and right there. And then there are 2 spots on the bottom slots right here, what you can see. And there are 2 shrouds here, there, and there where you're actually gonna feed them through. So we're gonna test fit these in. We're gonna pull it down just a little bit, get it in like that, and get these in, and then we're gonna attach those, and it's kind of gonna be one effort. I'm at least gonna pop these in, and I'll do it while we look here. I'll do it while we look here. That's gonna go in there. It just pops in. I'm gonna grab the selector here. Selector just pops in. Works perfectly. So let's get the rest of the stuff done. Okay, so once you have the vents and that in, this one, I need to figure out this vent real quick. It's a little bit off there. But once the vents are fitted in and you have these plugged in, then you can start getting it tight. So you're gonna set up the bottom. I'm gonna fix that first. You're gonna set up the bottom, right? You're gonna get the bottom in correctly. And then you're gonna have to bend the front down so that they connect into the ducts. So let's do that real quick. All right, so we've gotten a little bit with a lot of pushing, right? We pushed this down so that these vents get actually routed back there. I put a flashlight back here to make sure I'm all vented up correctly. And it's still popped out a little bit across the entire thing, right? The final step here is that we're gonna gently apply pressure going around it, right? We don't wanna break the screen, but we're gonna apply pressure kind of all around it until everything clicks in place. Let's go ahead and do that. And there we have it, guys. So this thing is installed, it's flush. I had to put a lot of force onto it. So I had to put both hands like there, basically kneel on the seat and push like I was giving CPR. But it finally went in. I would push like this, maybe catching the edge here. Do not push here. Don't push into the corner of the screen. Both the mic and stuff are there. Corners of glass, not something you want to put pressure on. Let's start it up. I'm a little worried about the backup camera, but let's see what happens. We'll do a live startup, guys. See if it works. And we're good. It even saved the STI preset that I had from my last car. Looks good, has everything from before, has all the amplifiers, everything's preset basically. See if I have anything on here. No, just the one download. I gotta hook the TPMS to this, because that'd be cool. But Easy Connect, Google Maps, Netflix, you can do whatever on here, check everything. So moment of truth, the big thing everybody complained about was the reverse camera and how the quality came through. I did see a few YouTube videos and the reverse quality was pretty bad on this unit. But let's check it out. I like the way that it looks enough that I don't care so much about the reverse camera. But let's put it in reverse. Oh. All right, kids, we got a problem. We're gonna have to take this out and figure out what the problem is. My guess is that we've crushed a cord back there when I pushed this down. So let's find out what the problem is. Okay, so I was right. I ended up pulling it out one more time and let's put it in reverse. Please work. So it works, but you can tell the quality is just not so bueno. So that's kind of a bummer. I'm gonna look into more about what I can do. I mean, obviously it's still functional. The image is larger. That might be it. It might just because the image is so much larger. But, you know, you kind of have like it looks like an old VCR, an old camcorder, right? It's kind of got that old effect. It's still much larger. So we'll kind of see how it is at night. We'll see what happens. At least it's working. Backup camera works without crazy modification. Doesn't work great, but works. And yeah, so everything works with this unit. There's a little bit of a delay. I got to set it up so it's a delay where it keeps showing me that when I take it out of reverse, but haven't done that yet. So Unit works great. You know, it's normal stuff. It's a pretty quick install. Happy with how it went. A little disappointed with the reverse camera. Would I do it again? Would I order this product again? Probably for $300-350. It's a pretty good plug and play unit. It does what I need it to do. It really cleans up the interior. I get a little bit more control for the audio, and I get all those cool functions. I get GPS, I get Netflix, I get YouTube. I'm not gonna throw a link in the comment section below. They stopped paying me for the affiliate stuff. All right, it's getting dark. Let's move this to the garage. Let's go. But if you want to support the channel and you're going to order one of these things, subscribe, comment, like the video, watch the other video, watch all the videos that I'm about to do with my car. I've got a bunch of parts. I'm going to get my wheels back on the car. I haven't even told you about what happened with my wheels. Lots of stuff happened. The company's hit or miss. Seicane, you know, people ask me technical questions. Some of the stuff I just can't answer. I'm not a rep. I didn't design these things, so I push them to Seicane. Seicane almost never responds, but they still seem to ship products out if you buy them. If you guys have any questions, be sure to ask them in the comment section below. Someone's gonna answer them, whether it's me, a subscriber, or somebody else that's put this on their car. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching the video. Good luck with your Seicane units.